Hello and welcome to the Join Dota League Season 3. Still waiting on one of the spectators to load in. Hopefully he'll be able to get in there quickly enough so that we won't have to have a remake. But if that is the case, we will be waiting around for the draft a little bit longer. Either way, I'm grandisV and I'll be your caster today here on HeflaTV 2. We're going to have a best of two series between MafiaV and Los Bricarditos. Looks like MafiaV are running with 3 stand-ins apparently, and well, that could affect their performance, but usually I'd say they're the stronger team out of the two, but hopefully Los Bricarditos can pull something out of the bag and maybe have an interesting draft, play something unconventional, and have a little bit of an upset. That could be interesting to see. Well, yeah, looks like the 7th spectator is not going to load into the game, which is unfortunate, which means we will be back to the loading screen for a couple of seconds. Actually, he made it in at the very last second. So into the draft we go. It'll be a little bit more time before I actually see what's going on. Yep. And a first ban Weaver coming out from MafiaV. I don't know, a very interesting first ban. Honestly, if they picked up the Weaver this early on into the draft, I'd be fairly confident in picking around that. You just have to have some pretty solid lockdown and solid lanes up against the Weaver, and it just delays his laning presence or game presence for too long, I feel, to make that hero worthwhile. The Lycan ban definitely worthwhile, as well as the Doom, so maybe throwing away one of their first bans, or just something that Los Bricarditos are very comfortable playing. Another ban we're going to see here in the first stage is going to be the Razor, which will leave a lot of heroes left in the pool, and MafiaV are going to go ahead and pick themselves up an Invoker. I don't know, it's interesting to see the first pick Invoker after quite some time. Invoker has kind of fallen out of favor for other heroes that are more prominent in the current meta. Honestly, I'd like to see Los Bricarditos either go straight up pushing or maybe pick up the Faceless Void here along with that Shadow Shaman, but they'll go ahead and pick up the Viper, a solid first 2 picks to be sure. Viper not going to lose his lane more than likely, and he will be a good mech carrier for his team, and Shadow Shaman as a support just all around is really solid, especially on the dire side. I'd expect MafiaV to go ahead and pick up the Faceless Void here and fill 2 of their core positions in these first 2 picks. I think that Invoker combos well with the Faceless Void, just being able to drop his Exhort combos into the Chronosphere, as well as having the global presence from Sunstrike. You could even get away with putting that Faceless Void into a utility position in the offlane, especially on the Radiant side. Laning is fairly easy for him. So for now, just waiting on their pick, and they'll go for the Brewmaster, so more teamfight control instead of the Faceless Void. But still, a solid pickup for them, even though Brewmaster has been seeing a little bit less of play, and I know Hefla is fairly happy about this. Not a big fan of the hero. I like watching Brewmaster, but at the same time, it is starting to get a little bit old. Very expected what he's going to do. He's going to blink in, drop his Thunderclap onto as many heroes as possible, then get the split off, throw him in the air, stun another one up, and just make general havoc around the teamfights, which can be pretty hectic to cast. Well, I don't think either team really have made a huge edge as far as the draft is concerned to start things off. I don't know, Viper is presumably going to be heading towards the mid lane for Los Bricarditos. Possibly even sending the Brewmaster up against him wouldn't be a bad idea if you get the Drunken Haze up early and just start spamming that on the Viper. You can be pretty annoying to lane against. But then again, Invoker with the Exhort can get enough damage to last hit against the Viper later on, but the early laning phase is a pain for the Invoker to deal with until he gets Forge Spirits as well as that extra damage online. Faceless Void banned out by MafiaV, so they're not going to go for that on their team, which kind of makes sense. With the Brewmaster, he doesn't combo the best, but Invoker, and maybe if they got one more support to put damage into the Chrono, it probably could have been a worthwhile pick for them. But either way, since Los Bricarditos do have first pick coming out of the banning stage, not going to leave that one in the, for them to take. Well, still waiting. On these last couple bans, both teams taking their time and going just barely into the reserve time, but that will wait for now. MafiaV want to make sure that they get the better end of this draft to give them that edge going into this game. And I think if, I don't know, MafiaV play their best, they should be able to do decently well at the very least. I don't know, with such conventional picks as well as not having the delay going into this game, it I don't know, leaves this draft fairly hard to talk about. Death Prophet banned out by MafiaV, no big surprises there. You don't really want to give Shadow Shaman as well as Death Prophet away to an enemy team, especially when you have Viper is going to be self-sufficient in lane as well. I don't know, just a solid starting to a pushing lineup that can really punish if they do win a team fight. Although up against an Invoker as well as a Brewmaster, not the easiest thing to accomplish, but could be done.
Reserve time.
Well, yet again, Los Bricardillos are going to go ahead and eat into their reserve time a little bit. I'm not sure what their pick out of the banning stage is going to be, so I have no idea what they're going to ban. I'd assume that they'll know what they're going to pick pretty much instantly after this ban, so it shouldn't be a long wait before we see the third pick coming out from Los Bricardillos. I wouldn't be opposed to something along the lines of a Sand King coming out from them. But at the same time, Shadow Shaman and Sand King, not the best roaming duo, as both of them have a fairly low range of initiation, not a great way to get in range until they get up their boots and or blink daggers later on into the match. Well, Centaur is going to ban coming out from Los Bricardillos, a hero that would have done decently well on the side of MafiaV, would have given them a lot of global ganking presence with a blink dagger on your Centaur Warrior, as well as your Brewmaster, and the Invoker can drop a Sunstrike as well. Pretty much that Hoof Stomp, Double Edge, and Sunstrike combo can kill anybody on the map, possibly with the exception of the Viper, currently inside the draft of Los Bricardillos. Scarlet Mage is going to be the pickup coming out from Bricky, and well, there's your secondary support. This supporting duo is going to have a lot of nuking damage in order to zone out the offlane or whatever it might be, so even though they're on the Radiant side, still going to have a pretty hard time in laning. That said, they could go for something along the lines of a Tidehunter, which might be able to stand in that lane for quite some time, but will probably have to just buy like 2 sets of Tangos and a salve, not even joking. Ether Blast and Arcane Bolt is just so ridiculous to deal with in lane.
Reserve time.
Also, Scarlet Mage with that concussive shot, good for getting the Shadow Shaman into range for those shackles, and as long as they have a little bit of follow-up damage in that tri-lane, they should be able to take down whatever offlane hero that MafiaV have to offer. They're going to go ahead and pick up the Mirana here. Another hero that is kind of reminiscent of a patch or two ago. I don't know, the nerf hurt her quite a bit, but even when she was at her peak, I don't feel that she was as strong as the draft favored her. It was more just her utility and ability to change where she landed inside the lanes that really made her a strong pick. Still, solid. They are lacking the support. I'd like to see a Shadow Demon pickup coming out from MafiaV to give that bonus damage to the Invoker, as well as setting up for that Mirana arrow. And also allows them to get fairly easy pickoffs around the map. I think teams are more or less comfortable playing against Mirana and know what to expect at the very least. I don't know, still a very solid pickup, and we'll have to see how they're going to utilize that Moonlight Shadow to their advantage and try to get ganks around the map. Los Bricardillos, their draft so far is just kind of all-around solid meta picks that don't really have the best synergy together. The magical nuke damage coming out from Viper with his Viper Strike, as well as Shadow Shaman and his Ether Shock. It does combo well with the Ancient Steel coming out from the Skywrath Mage, and they'll be able to burst down targets fairly effectively. So, in that sense, they do have a little bit of synergy, but as far as what the lineup's meant to do, they don't really have a lot of forward-pushing potential. They're going to go ahead and pick up a Puck to combo with the rest of their heroes. We'll give them a lot more teamfight presence, but still, their pushing power isn't the greatest outside of that Shadow Shaman. But that said, Shadow Shaman usually is enough to at least secure one tower after you do win a teamfight, so they'll still have a way to push into the enemy team. Puck as a hero is, I don't know, kind of interesting. Holding people in place for the Viper to get auto attacks off onto them is always a good thing, as well as having the Shadow Shaman and Skywrath Mage to output damage while their Dream Coiled up is always nice. I don't know, I'm assuming this Puck is going to go towards the offlane with Viper in the mid, and Los Bricardillos still need their safe lane carry as their last pick, but it could be an option that they safe lane the Viper as well as put the Puck towards the mid, and then pick up something for the offlane, or even offlane the Viper, and pick up yet another safe lane carry, putting that Puck towards the mid. So a lot of interchangeability in the draft so far. But at least for now, I'm assuming that Shadow Shaman and Skywrath Mage are going to be our supporting duo. MafiaV pick up themselves up in Earthshaker, so also going to have a lot of teamfight presence. So far, I'm favoring Mafia 5's lineup, Earthshaker also offers the setup for the Mirana Arrow, although not as reliable as the Shadow Demon Disruption. With the stun coming out from the Fissure, if you get a nice block, you can set up some pretty good angles for the Mirana, so he's at least not going to go into a blind.
5 seconds.
However, if Earthshaker gets off to a slow start, you're going to see a very delayed Blink Dagger coming out from him, which could impact his game performance. But really, Fissure is probably Earthshaker's strongest spell and will still be able to offer quite a bit as far as defensive capabilities and also in the ability to get kills. Still, it's going to be a lot of
Radiance ban.
things unburdened for the Invoker as well as Mirana to land those skill shots. When the Earthshaker throws his Fissure, you usually have to drop the Sunstrike before the Fissure actually stuns the target in order to get the guaranteed hit. And similarly with the Mirana Arrow, you kind of have to be very on the same page with your teammates in order to set up that combo. Los Bricarditos go ahead and ban out the Shadow Demon. I think it would still be a solid pickup for them. You'll be able to save people from Skywrath Mage ulti with that disruption if you are on the ball. And as previously stated, Shadow Demon's Disruption is just so great at setting up the spells that Mafia 5 already have at their disposal. Clockwork Last Band coming out from Mafia 5. Not sure if I would have liked the Clockwork coming out from Los Bricarditas. Their lineup would just feel kind of iffy if they tried to go late up against Mafia 5. Mirana can pick up some decent right-clicking damage. Brewmaster, it doesn't look like he's going to have to deal with very many BKBs. Potentially on the Viper they'll build one, but it's unlikely that Puck will get one early as well. And that will also ensure that the Invoker is able to stay relevant. And if we do see possibly a split-pushing style coming out from the Invoker, could be decently strong. Los Bricarditos go ahead and pick up themselves a Dragon Knight, but a last pick Drow Ranger from Mafia 5. Dragon Knight's a fairly standard hero, but I'm going to go ahead and look at this Drow Ranger pick. Honestly, something that I had not anticipated. Looks like the Mirana as well as the Earthshaker are going to be a roaming duo, at least in this game, trying to make things happen around the map. Drow Ranger solo versus Puck should be able to have a decent time, but with this pickup, I think Los Bricarditos might even just decide to go aggressive up against the Drow. Also, usually when you see Drow Ranger, you want to see the Visage as well inside the game, and I don't know, more often than not, you want 5 range shears to benefit fully from that aura, but still, Mirana and Invoker can do decent work with that. The extra damage coming out from the aura when activated on the Forge Spirits is kind of nice, but they don't have a lot of other summons to abuse that fact. I don't know, this Drow Ranger pick just kind of feels out of place. The silence is good up against the Puck if you can catch him immediately as he jumps in, but that's very hard to do, especially with the instant cast on to his silence. But either way, before we get too carried away in theory crafting, I'll go ahead and introduce the teams. We are going to have Mafia 5 on the Radiant with Das Da Westdetuf on the Drow Ranger, Charlie Craigs on the Mirana, Rhino Chuan on the Invoker, JXCVB on the Earthshaker, and that will leave System playing on the Brewmaster. On the dire side, we're having the Viper running towards the bottom lane as it stands. Citrix going to be playing on that hero, followed by the Shadow Shawn, played by Derp W. The Skywrath Mage going to be played by Portentous, leaving the mid lane Dragon Knight played by Link, and the solo safe lane Puck, played by Net17. I like this move to come out with the aggressive tri-lane from Los Bricarditos. Let's see if Mafia 5 are going to anticipate this and maybe shake up their lanes a little bit. But for now, it does look like Drow Ranger is going to be setting herself up to start in the safe lane, and we'll probably at least need the Earthshaker to sit behind her and offer defensive fissures as well as arrows coming out from the Mirana. I don't see these supports being able to move around the map all that much. Yeah, I'd expect the majority of our action to happen down in this bottom lane, while the other two lanes are going to be fairly passive. As long as the Puck is not playing too aggressively and uses the Illusory Orb and Phase Shift to try to get kills on the Brewmaster while diving him, I don't think the Brew should be able to get a kill. And similarly, Invoker and Dragon Knight should be fairly passive until Invoker gets a couple more levels up. It looks like he might even be going for Quas Wex this game, a move that I'm not a huge fan of. I think Exhort just offers a little bit more, but still, not the best setup for it either way. I don't know, he could still be going Exhort with the Blades Attack. I've seen Phase Boots on Exhort Invoker as well. Yeah. At least for now, it looks like the bottom lane is going to be the place to be. Los Bricarditos are going to get the range creep out in front as far as their block is concerned, and should be able to get the lane equilibrium in their favor, but it's also not the best block. I don't know. On the dire side, the aggressive tri-lane really needs to make some aggressive movements in order to really feel effective. We have an illusion rune picked up level 1 by the Mirana, and a fissure was actually used by the Earthshaker, not sure where, but they're going to drop the fissure, arrow to follow up on the Skywrath Mage. They don't have enough damage, however, Throw Ranger wasn't close enough. She's going to drop the silence, it almost pushes the Skywrath Mage over the fissure, but in the end, they secure that kill with one more last auto attack from the Earthshaker. So a very well comboed stun chain coming out from MafiaV. If Throw Ranger was a little bit closer, it could have been a quicker kill at the very least. But still, I'm fairly impressed by how they were able to get that fissure as well as arrow to land. Shaman eating a lot of harass, but this offensive tri-lane just not panning out so far for Los Bricarditas. I don't expect them to dissolve it quite yet, but for now, going to be forced to eat through a lot of their regen. Dragon Knight eating a lot of harass in the middle lane, which is kind of the, I don't know, life of a Dragon Knight. Kind of being bullied around by this Invoker. With Quas first and level 2 into the Cold Snap, I'd expect this to be a Quas Wex Invoker, but still without any points into Wex or Exhort just yet. He could prove me wrong, and possibly just getting the Cold Snap to help get a kill onto this Dragon Knight. Arrow to fly in the mid lane, it's going to land, but there's no follow-up on the Link, just a little harass going his way. Charlie Gregg sees 2 for 2 as far as the arrows are concerned, maybe just padding his stats a little bit. Unfortunately, the Invoker wasn't there to follow up, maybe with the Cold Snap it would have been closer for a kill, but I don't think under tower Link would have died. Charlie Griggs, he's clarting up and looks for another pot shot, I'd assume, on the Dragon Knight, but Dragon Knight's currently playing fairly far on the left side of the map. Cold Snap's decent setup for the arrow, but not the best. With the invisibility rune, might be a higher probability kill. Well, the pulling camp was not blocked by the Dire team, so the Earthshaker is going to be able to find himself his level 2 by operating the pulling operations. And one of the big issues that I have with Dire aggressive tri-lanes is that they don't have a way to pull the creeps. On the Radiant, you can pull this large camp over yonder to give yourself a little bit extra experience and a way to reserve the lane equilibrium. We had Fissure, but blocked everybody towards their tower, so in the end, not going to be able to combo at that time into a kill. But still, Charlie Griggs maintains his 100% accuracy on his arrows. The push is going to come out a little bit from this Drone Ranger. She popped the, precision aura for these creeps a while ago. It has since worn off, but with 2 range creeps under tower, the Viper should be able to get these last hits fairly easily. Misses one, yeah. But at least they'll be fairly happy with how the lane is panning out for them. Earthshaker looking for the pull-through, has his 2 camps in order to do so, and I don't think we'll have any kills on bottom, at least for the time being. Charlie Griggs has made this little nook inside the river his home, and is attempting to find those arrows. I don't know, it's interesting to see this Drone Ranger pick pretty much as a standalone, but still, Drone Ranger gets a lot of damage online fairly early, and can be a force to be reckoned with, especially against Los Bricarditos that don't have a great way of dealing with her. In mid, Shadow Shaman's just too darn slow, 285 base movement speed, needs those boots if he ever wanted to hope to catch up with the Invoker, who already has his phase completed. This is quite possibly the most peculiar build coming out from Invoker that I've seen. Usually you don't see an early point in Wex on your Exhort Invokers. I'm not sure exactly where he's going to settle down his build. We'll just have to see as the game progresses. Yeah, I'd expect this to be an Exhort Invoker, but on the same token, maybe just going for the extra point into Sunstrike to secure a couple of extra kills. I don't know. We'll have to see if it's going to actually be worth it. I don't know, at least confusing me. But that really doesn't take all that much. As, I don't know, I'd assume that this guy knows a little bit more about Invoker than I do. Up in top lane, it's been fairly passive, but Brewmaster doing well up against Puck, spamming out that Drunken Haze as much as he'd like to keep the Puck at arm's length, even with the phase boots. Not going to be able to take down this Brewmaster, I feel. 20-4 compared to 18-2, and that's going to be the damage in top. In mid, Dragon Knight still doing admirably up against this Invoker. You don't expect him to win in mid. Sunstrike going to land, but it's only level 1 coming up from the level 1 Exhort of the Invokers, so not really going to do all that much to the Dragon Knight. His bottle is on the courier, and actually Drone Ranger going to die down in bottom. They have the Shackles going the way of the Earthshaker as well, looking for a second kill on this aggressive tri-lane. Will they be able to find it? They will. Went for an enchant, but not going to happen, and double kill for Pretentious. Yeah, unfortunate that I wasn't looking for the Drone Ranger kill, but a very high priority one for Los Bricarditos in the bottom lane. It's going to make their aggressive tri-lane pan out for them a lot better Well, healing salve is going to be canceled on the Viper, much to his dismay, but Citrix should be just fine to sit in this lane a little bit longer. I don't know, that's kind of one of the issues you have when your Mirana starts roaming around. With the aggressive movement onto the Dragon Knight, it was fairly obvious that Los Bricarditas could make a move like that, and with the boots on the Shadow Shaman, they were able to do so. Yeah, Draw Ranger, one of her biggest weaknesses is that early on laning phase. And we're just seeing that right now. She's not able to farm as much as you'd like, especially being set up against an aggressive tri-lane. But still, I don't think it's over by any means for Mafia 5. I think as long as they're able to hold their towers decently well, once Shadow Shaman gets this level 6, they should be in a good situation. Speaking of the Shadow Shaman, he's only level 3 at the moment. Really just, I don't know, one of the biggest costs of going into aggressive tri-lane is that your supports are going to be fairly under-leveled, especially if you don't absolutely snowball out of control with the kills. And for now, that's going to be how it is. But still, the supports coming out from Mafia 5 aren't looking too great either, with the Mirana still sitting at level 2, almost level 3, mostly due to the fact that she's been fishing for arrows on mid. Well, it is a party in mid as the Earthshaker as well as Mirana have rotated their way, as well as the Shadow Shaman and the Skywrath Mage, so it looks like we might have a mini skirmish here. Let's see how this is going to break down. If they land the arrow, that could be huge, but Charlie Griggs isn't going to go for a cold snap, and the auto attacks from the illusion should be enough. Fisher going to delay things. Sunstrike not going to land on anything right in the middle of the three heroes. Charlie Griggs leaps his way to safety, and for now it's not going to do much. Arcane Bolt thrown away, as well as Concussive Shot towards the Invoker. But he will be able to scuttle his way back towards his tower and also be just fine. They've left the Draw Ranger solo up against the Viper, and Viper's not dominating the lane as much as you usually like to see, but still trading evilly with the Draw Ranger for now. An interesting build coming out from the Draw with 2 points in the silence at this point. I don't know, especially against Los Bricarditas heroes, it's kind of weird to see silence given that priority. Usually you see more points in the Frost Arrows or the Precision Aura, depending on how you're going to be playing the Draw. So, something new for me. Smoke down bottom coming out from the Los Bricarditas. Supports trying to get the jump on this bottom lane. And it looks like Earthshaker is going to be the one that will be cut out, if anybody. But, let's see. Concussive Shot, and he's shackled in place. Silenced up, and with the Viper auto attacks, should be a fairly easy go. Draw Ranger hasn't backed off. She's going to drop a silence onto 3 heroes, but she's going to die as well, I feel. Will they have the slows coming out from Citrix? He's going to drop a poison attack, and with the heck, she's caught into the trees, and Draw Ranger going to make a fatal mistake in the bottom lane. A pretty large misstep coming out from the Dro. While the Earthshaker was here, she was trying to farm up in this general vicinity and ended up getting caught out. I think if she backed off immediately as that action was going on, or at least through the silence earlier to try to delay the kill on the Earthshaker, they would have been better off, but still, 1-4 is our kill score, and Los Bricarditas, I have faith in the underdogs. Will they be able to do it? Mechanism going to be very quick for the Viper, not going to opt for those power treads earlier. Does have the 2 major components finished already, just sending that headdress recipe out to himself on the courier. Puck has started to make some leeway up in the top lane, up against the Brewmaster, sitting at 42 and 9 compared to the 34 and 6 of the Brew, but still Brewmaster with his level 6 as well as his Blink Dagger, in fact sitting at level 8. Will be looking to make an aggressive move onto this Dragon Knight and Invoker, picking up that Handamize, delivering it to himself on the courier at a decent timing. This Dragon Knight might be in a little bit of trouble. Invoker playing very aggressively, and he should know something's up. He drops the Dragon Knight form, but he's just going to be stunned up. Sunstrike comes through as well, and that's going to be an easy kill for the Invoker, so it does look like a Quasi Exhort build is going to be the case. And Brewmaster putting out very early Blink Dagger for your off-lane Brew. It's going to net himself an easy kill in the middle lane. Puck went for the phase boots, and his Blink Dagger's not going to come up as early, so Puck delaying his Blink Dagger for a little bit more early domination in lane. And for now, it's not paying off for him. His system's going to make the first strike in the Blink Wars. And it looks like System's also going to be building towards the drums for his team, or at least I'd assume he's going to finish those after finishing the Bracer, which he is sending to himself on the courier. For now, it's being a little bit more passive, so I'll go ahead and take this time to check out the graphs. The gold advantage is negligible in the favor of Mafia 5, just coming out from the efficiency across the map, as well as that last rotation from the Brewmaster, and experience fairly similar. So still anybody's game, even though this Draw Ranger's effectiveness in this game has been delayed quite a bit with 2 kills going her way. I'm still kind of waiting to see what this idea of the last pick Draw is going to be. For now, it is helping The Mirana as well as the Invoker get that little extra damage. Dro's going to be slowed up by the concussive shot, gives them vision. Will drop one auto attack, but that's going to be it. Trying to pursue the Mirana. She has the leap, going to leap down towards the south. Doesn't throw the arrow up, but will be able to TP out to safety. So a little bit of gold spent by Charlie Griggs, but still will be safe. Citrix wants us so bad. Actually spends 2 tangos in order to do so, but not going to net himself a kill. So a fairly even trade TP for 2 tangos. And that TP was also up top, so they might be able to make something happen on the puck if he mistimes his phase shift or a loser orb. Still a very unlikely kill going the way of Nate 17. He is going to have his Blink Dagger ready, and I'd like to see him make a rotation, possibly down towards bottom, to help out, kill the Draw Ranger another time. I think they know what's going on. They don't catch vision of him, I don't think, at the very least, and won't throw any arrows either.
Radiant's bottom tower.
Puck blinks towards the north and will make his way out to safety. Down at bottom, they pop the glyph for really nothing, to be honest. I don't know, Dragonite wasn't focused down bottom. They drop the cold snap as well, or rather just the Frost arrows as the engagement breaks down the back lines. They're going to drop a silence on the Invoker, but I don't know, the Skylar's just taking too much damage. Fissure blocks him on the right side, and they will be able to get that kill. Double Thunderclap comes out from System. It looks like they might be able to chase down Citrix as well. Double crits in a row. The Hex coming out from the Shadow Shaman should secure the retreat of the Viper, but yeah, in the end, Dragonite, in the absence of the Invoker, will put some chip damage onto the Tier 1 tower in mid, but I believe when they popped that glyph, he wasn't actively auto-attacking onto the Tier 1, so, I don't know, very interesting. We have a beautiful cat face drawn in mid. Not sure who that was, possibly a spectator, but either way.
Radiant's mid tower's getting
PT's picked up by the Draw Ranger, just adding to so much damage the job in these next couple fights, and with marksmanship online as well. I don't know, this Draw Ranger is going to be pretty scary to deal with in her own right. Usually I like to see Draw Ranger pick up Hand of Midas in order to get level 16 ultimate as fast as possible, and the attack speed scales pretty well on her on top of that, but still, can't really fault the combat build, especially in the lighting situation that they had. In mid, Invoker does deny the tower gold coming out from the Dragonite push on the Tier 1 tower. In mid, they're going to jump onto the Dragonite. Speaking of him, Cold Snap going to go his way after the Thunderclap. He's slowed down, tries to get the Dragon Tail off. He will get on the system, as that is instant cast Sunstrike. He lands it on the Dragonite. Tried to juke it, but a nice anticipation. But speaking of the Invoker, he's going to die to the Blink Silence coming out from the pocket. Trying to pursue that, but blink away from system. We'll make it a 1-for-1 mid-trade. All said and done. More rotations were forced out by Losebreaker Ditas, but they'll save their Tier 1 tower, so fairly even trade, I'd say, all around. Yeah, with the Dragonite, it's pretty much inevitable that Tier 1 is going to fall. So, at least they were able to deny that tower and do a little bit of economic damage. I'd expect MafiaV at this point to have a bit of a lead as far as gold is concerned, mostly just due to the performance of the Invoker. But for now, his gold is mostly committed towards that Hand of Midas, 2,000 gold. They're going to blink in with the puck. They get the Dream Pull onto through with the silence on 2. Nice Fissure will delay things, but they're going to be able to pick up all 3 of these kills easily with 4 heroes committed in the bottom lane. Nice, or 5 actually. Yeah, a beautiful initiation coming out from the puck, and not a lot else was required. They just don't have a way to really deal with this puck, to be honest. Even with the silence coming out from the Draw Ranger, it's just too hard to time. Yeah, especially when you get instantly silenced by that, excuse me, Winding Rift. So after a little bit of a shaky start for, well, they're going to get an arrow onto the Dragonite. They just don't have a lot of follow-up. The auto attacks are coming. They get a triple Thunderclap coming out from the Brewmaster. Sunstrike's going to be off the mark, but the Dragonite's stunned under tower. He will fall. Silence thrown out, not going to land. They get the last hit on the tower at the very least, trying to chase down the Shadow Shaman as he secures the retreat of the rest of the heroes. TP away from Citrix, and Citrix will also make it. In order to get that, they would have needed to get the Cyclone coming out from the Wind Panda, but they won't be able to find that one. And, well, MafiaV striking back with their Blink initiation as well, and this time they'll be able to convert this into one of their towers of their own. So, I don't know, it's kind of just been a 1-2 punch coming out from both of his teams, and for now, they're not going to stop. This is a decently risky move. Georgia has popped her aura, so they're not going to have that bonus damage coming up from catapults, range creeps, as well as the forge spirits in the glyph. I think they'll back off after this. I don't know. Dream Coil, cooldown coming offline very shortly. Silence thrown out by the Drow Ranger, not going to clip anybody. We have TP attempt from the Dragon Knight, looking for that initiation. It gets on 3 with the Silence as well as the Dream Coil. They drop the Serpent Wards as well on top. They blow up the Invoker as well as the Brewmaster. He's silenced up by the Skywrath Mage. Leap away from Charlie Griggs, trying to get his way to safety. Will he be able to make it? The Arcane Bolt, one more auto attack. No way that he's getting out of that. Drow Ranger and Earthshaker did save their lives, but a bit of a risky move coming up from Mafia 5. Pushing into that tower is going to go punished by those Bricarditos. Yeah, Drow Ranger has that Morbid Mask. So far, just going to be a casual one, possibly a Mask of Madness, but that's so risky going up against a puck. I possibly would like to see this built into maybe even a Helm of the Dominator, and then opt for a BKB secondarily, and then build into more damage-oriented items. I think there's plenty of mid-game presence coming out from the Invoker and Brewmaster to warrant that. Speaking of the Invoker, he's going to pick himself up a Necronomicon, so going to be opting to fill more of a split-pushing role. He's fairly slow when he doesn't have the Phase Boots activated, but still. Invoker with Necrobook is no joke, and will be able to mow down the towers and makes up for the pushing power that is lacking on the side of Mafia 5. Those Bricarditos have not yet made use of the Dire Side advantage and went into the Roshan, possibly after Shadow Shaman has his wards again, and maybe if they get one more pick off, they will be able to do that. But for now, just kind of backing off and chilling for a little bit. I think Los Bricarditos, unless this Dragon Knight gets absolutely huge, I don't think they have anything to really contest Mafia 5 when it comes to a pure late game, everybody 6-slotted scenario. So I'd like to see and try to push their luck a little bit more. But for now, just going to back off and wait for Mafia 5 to make the move. And the move they will make is going to be smoking up in the mid with 5 heroes and make a wraparound towards this mid lane. Hortensius as well as Derp W are going to be sitting in mid. They're not smoked up as of yet, but this could be a 4v5 exchange as Viper's not there. Blinken, Thunderclap onto 3. The phase shift comes out from the puck. He's not going to be silenced up, but they're going to be able to focus on the Shadow Shaman. Actually throw him in there. A little bit of miscue coming out from the Brewmaster. A Sunstrike split between Citrix as well as Link, but the Echo Slimes comes out from the Earthshaker. Is going to land a decent one. They're all fairly low, however, in the Illusory Orb as well as the Waning Rift is going to do decent damage. They break the coil on the Earthshaker, and he's going to die for that. Phase shift comes out from the puck. The Courier's in the midst, and dies to the Serpent Wards. 875 gold down the drain. I believe that's an urn. I'll have to check afterwards. Breathe Fire comes out and kills the Invoker, and a pretty large misplay coming out from Mafia 5 with a very sloppy engagement. Citrix coming in with that mech was absolutely pivotal in that last engage. Yeah, I don't know, very interesting. Just kind of clumping up. That looks like they're going to be able to get the kill on Citrix with the Brewmaster. He jumps in, but it's going to die under tower for that. Not sure if that's entirely worth it, and he is going to give up his own life. Oh, just a very hasty move coming up from the Brewmaster. I believe that's a 4-4-2 exchange, all said and done, as well as that Courier, which was holding on to a Drum of Endurance recipe for the Brewmaster. Yeah, not worth it. Fisher comes out on the Shadow Shaman. No arrow to follow up, however, coming out from Charlie Griggs. He drops a Sentry with his dying breath. Arrow going to be wide, and Shadow Shaman will be just fine for now. Sunstrike, yeah. Don't think that would have been enough damage. 350, yeah. Shadow Shaman. Oh no, that would have actually been in mid. They're going to get a fissure. Jump in from the puck. He doesn't have the Dream Coil to spend, however, and will just back off after getting a 4-man silence as well as a Illusory Orb. Had he had Dream Coil, that could have been huge. Arrow in mid, not going to land. Yeah, Mafia 5, they probably should decide to back off. A lot of their farm is focused into this Invoker with his Necrobook, but as I said earlier, that's not in pure fighting potential. With the Hand of Midas online as well. That will give him a lot of levels, which is obviously great for your Invoker. Getting level 25 ASAP just allows the Invoker to scale very well, especially as far as damage, and the ability to use your combo more as soon as you get more levels up to Invoke, which is still only level 1, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think being able to have one more spell in your rotation with a couple more levels into Invoke is usually a little bit better than the extra levels into Quas, but his Cold Snap's going to be incredibly strong, as they did change the scaling of the damage of that spell recently. Puck does have the Yule's Scepter, so he could be seeing some clutch Yules on the Brewmaster when he blinks in. I think the Brewmaster needs to be careful about when he jumps in now. Yeah, because if the puck is in the vicinity, he'll be able to disjoint that very quickly, especially if he decides to go for the Thunderclap first, like he has been in the last couple of engagements. Drow Ranger farm check. Helm of Dominator is going to be the choice for the Drow. As I said a little bit earlier, I don't think Mask of Madness would have been a great pickup. I think she just needs to tank as much as possible. She will go for an attempted stack on these Ancients. It should stack. Let's see. Will give her those extra Black Dragons. And Troll Ranger fairly well equipped to start farming this. However, she's only level 9. So not looking that great in the level department. I think a Hand of Midas earlier on, as stated previously, would have helped to remedy that, because getting level 16 on Drow Ranger is very important, not only for her, but for the range damage coming out from the Invoker as well as the Mirana. Invoker has picked up his Necronomicon level 3, so going to add to the pushing power coming out from Mafia 5, but still, the game is lolling a little bit. In about 20 minutes, I'll go ahead and check the graphs yet again. Los Bricarditos sitting about a 3k gold advantage, a little bit stagnant after that last team fight, but at least being able to hold on that and experience a little bit more in their favor, sitting at about 5k. They'll be pretty happy with how this is going for now, but it's, I don't know. If Mafia 5 are going to make a solid move and win a team fight convincingly, they should be able to take at least tier 1s, if not tier 2s, especially with the Forge Spirits Necronomicon Drow War coming out from them. But in the meantime, Los Bricarditos going for the Roshan. They TP in the Viper as well with that Mechanism Sustain coming through. I think they're privy to this, and Earthshaker pings it out. They should be able to jump into the pit. No Blink Tiger or Earthshaker, unfortunately. Brewmaster might end up getting silenced too quickly coming out from the sky with Mage if he jumps in. They'll drop a Sunstrike in the pit, but it's just going to be too fast coming out with the Serpent Words. Which is still level 1, but still plenty in order to get that. Aegis of the Immortal is inside. The Serpent Words will be picked up by the Dragonite in the end. A little bit awkward for them to pick that one up, but still. Will be just fine. Had somebody been there, Brewmaster, he probably could have been able to snag that Aegis inside the Serpent Words, but then jumping into the Serpent Words is probably a death sentence anyway. So, these Bricarditos, I'd say that they have a decent advantage here. Really, the only one who can compete as far as net worth is concerned is that Invoker with his completed Necro Book. And putting it to good use, split pushing the top lane. We'll get it up to the tier 2 tower, but TP from Link will secure that. The tower is not going to sustain much damage at all. The catapult will get a couple of hits onto it, but not going to amount to much. Drow Ranger has the Aquila off. At this point in the game, I think just leaving it on all the time is also a decent choice, allowing you to push out those lanes that much faster with that extra 2 armor, although not the biggest deal. We'll have to see where Drow Ranger is going to go with her next couple of items, but as it stands, Drow Ranger just not picking up that carry potential that I know that she can have, or not really offering her team that much utility with the extra levels that she could be using. Puck runs into the Mirana in the jungle, and Charlie Griggs might be focused down. It will have to be a solo kill as nobody's in the vicinity, and without a Dagon, I don't think the Puck will be able to do so, just giving him some, his team some important intel on the whereabouts of the enemy. Well, Los Bricarditos with this Aegis on the Dragonite as well as BKB that is 10 seconds. I would like to see them trying to take a tier 2 tower, possibly fighting down in bottom. Would be a decent choice for them, or taking the top tier 2. But it looks like barreling down mid is going to be a choice after Smokey up. If they're able to get a pick off, this could be huge. The Forge Spirits are going to be there, but possibly giving them a false sense of security as the smoke is not revealed. And Earthshaker, if they catch him out before the fight begins, could be huge, but they won't catch eyes on him. It is nighttime, so the vision is limited for both teams. And if you just look at the defensive play coming out from Mafia 5, they're waiting behind their tier 2 tower and just not showing their heads at all. Drow Ranger the only one farming out solo, and even that's fairly risky, but I think she needs to do it. Everybody on the side of Los Bricarditos is missing. Sunstrike lands onto Link as well as Citrix. A little bit of harass, but it looks like this tier 2 tower is pretty much going to be forfeit. Not a lot that Mafia 5 can do. They'll throw a Fissure and Arrow, lands on Link, but the best they can hope for is the BKB mechanism pop by Citrix, and actually Puck on the backlines is going to fall to a combo coming out from the Invoker as well as Brewmaster, and I don't know, that was interesting. I did not expect that happening. Now the tier 2 tower is going to be safe. Charlie Griggs looking to initiate into this even more. Throws out an arrow. Who will hit it? And it will actually land on Citrus with a double Fissure to follow up. Blink and clap onto 2 from the Brewmaster. He's going to be able to stun up 1. He goes for the Sky with Mage. Going to drop so quickly with that Immolation Aura acting onto him. Earthshaker, we have a Blink in front of the Puck. He's not really going to do all that much, and he might be in a little bit of trouble. I believe that was a buyback from the Puck. Now the Shadow Stone is going to die. Dragonite in a full retreat, and Puck cold stepped up the Necronomicon. He's going to use himself up in the air, but will it be enough to save him? And he's going to try to lose Orb out of it, but the nuking damage is too much. Lose the Aegis on the Dragon Knight as well, and this should be a full team wipe in the favor of MafiaV, all said and done. Dragon Knight has a BKB TP as well, and they don't have anything canceled. So scratch that. Not going to be a full team wipe unless you count the Aegis as a death on the Dragon Knight. A huge win for MafiaV after getting a very awkward pickoff on the puck that I didn't think would happen. And, well, also that was a dieback on your puck, if I remember correctly. And indeed it is. Puck, no buyback for another 5 minutes. What a disaster. Everybody has respawn, but without the Dream Coil to jump in, it looks like this tier 2 tower is going to be forfeit. Dragon mows down those towers very quickly. Now a completed Aghanim Scepter on the system. I don't know, the heroes on the side of Los Brigadiers just so quickly. We have a stomp onto Link coming out from the center. He's going to force be popping the BKB. They try to focus down the Invoker, and then we'll be able to get that one kill for the 10-second BKB charge. But tier 2 tower is down. Viper did get a dominating streak, so I don't know. At least getting one on the retreat still. All said and done, MafiaV going to be very happy with how that exchange as a whole, starting in mid lane push coming out from Los Brigadiers went. Yeah, I don't know, the items are starting to come out for MafiaV after that last fight. I'm curious to see what the Draw Ranger is going to build. We'll go ahead and check her gold. And it is 3,700, but still no idea what she's going to buy. I'd like to see BKB and then possibly Butterfly. Draw Ranger benefits so much from the extra agility that Butterfly provides, as well as the mischance on the Serpent Wards. Dragon Knight, as well as the Viper, would be fairly important. And even the puck isn't right-clicking that low, sitting about 110 per pop. Yeah. Force staff completed by the Invoker, as well as a mechanism, very late one on the Mirana. But as a support Mirana, I think it's still a warranted pickup, and that 250 burst heal could have come in handy quite a few times earlier on this game. MafiaV should be fairly comfortable with where they're sitting. Just wait for the Draw Ranger to pick up a little bit more farm. She'll have that BKB if she wants it, and might go for something else altogether. But at the very least, she'll have an item finished, which is very important and will boost her effectiveness a lot, as well as having that level 11, which, as stated previously, is just a huge boost in damage. That extra 20 agility is great for the Draw Ranger and her team. Blink Dagger on the Earthshaker, another great teamfight pickup for them. A late one, but as expected, as Earthshaker isn't the fastest farming hero by any means. One of the reasons why, for quite some time, Sand King was the favorite of the two Blink Initiator Stunners. Puck actually dies in mid to a Sunstrike. I had no idea how that happened. Possibly Forge Spirits as well as Necro were chasing him. He just resummoned his Forge Spirits, but Necro wasn't even there. I have no idea how the puck died there. Very peculiar. Also some drawing on the map in mid. We have a cold snap onto the DK. The arrow is going to be off the mark, unfortunately, because of the cold snap. But they should be able to get this kill. They drop the Scarlet Mage ulti onto the Earthshaker is just falling too low. He's silenced up as well. Can't get the Echo Slime off. But Shadow Shaman is going to die. He drops the Echo Slime after the Shadow Shaman is dead. And really doesn't do all that much of anything. Shadow Shaman is going to be slowed down by the Drunken Age. Blink Thunderclap going to be enough. 4 kills going the way of MafiaV. And just like that, the game is turned upside down on its head, with Los Brigadiers losing 2 important fights after each other. They don't have a tier 2 tower to push down in this middle lane, but they might be able to push down the tier 3. I don't know, with Draw Ranger, I guess it's possible. She won't be there in person, but with the aura on the range creeps, it could be enough damage. I don't know. I expect her to pop that, and it looks like she's not going to, but in mid, they're going to jump in with the puck, but he's being intercepted a little bit. Chargers pops the mechanism, and Brewmaster is going to have his ultimate yet again. Citrix pops the BKB, so he should be just fine, but he's pursuing him very deep on the backlines. They drop the puck as well. I don't think the Viper is going to fall. He's going to stop the Shadow Shaman, just keeping everybody in base, while the tier 3 tower is going to fall. And, well, a move that we see time and time again from Brewmaster, just zoning everybody out inside their own base. But now the melee barracks are going to fall as Draw Ranger has picked up the slack. They'll silence up the Scarlet Mage. Just look at the damage coming out from that Drow. They get a stun onto the Dragon Knight. I believe that was an arrow that landed. Melee barracks still hasn't fallen, and they're not going to commit fully for this little stun up system. And now, well, Mirana bit the bullet for the Brewmaster. Not going to do that much damage because they were sharing it, but will cost Mirana her life. Nice tornado to disengage, and it looks like they'll be just fine. I probably would have liked to see the Draw Ranger give away her life for that melee barracks. If you're going to commit, I think you commit fully. But either way, not the worst, not the best. Still, I'd say that MafiaV are going to be happy with that exchange. Getting the tier 3 tower and only losing the support Mirana for it. Roshan will be respawning in about a minute. So a fairly low respawn timer at the lower third, just about. Well, after that last engagement, I'll go ahead and check the gold as well as experience graphs. We have about an 8k, nearing 10k advantage for Mafia 5 after a couple of convincing teamfight wins, and you just see little divots in the graphs as it goes up, and similar for experience, but only about 5k lead there, as the experience lead for Los Bricarditos was definitely superior before then. Manta Style is going to be a choice for Drow Ranger. I can't really knock it. Gives her a little bit of extra tankability and the ability to Manta out of the silences coming up from the puck, as well as the Skywrath Mage. So we'll be able to get the silence off reliably. Although I think a BKB would have been a little bit better, but Manta Style, great for split pushing. The way she's been playing, it fits for her playing style. Smoke comes out from Mafia 5. Charlie Griggs, as well as this Brewmaster and Earthshaker, are sitting behind the Drow Ranger in mid, possibly trying to bait out something. But for now, they're not going to make any pursuit. The Viper is showing his face and is way far from the base. TPs wouldn't be able to save him there, but now he's the Skywrath Mage and the rest of his buddies behind him. They ping him out, they jump into him, they get the Thunderclap on 2, but the BKB comes out from him. The arrow not going to do anything. The Skywrath Mage ult going to land. Brewmaster can't get the ultimate off. Echo Slam onto 3 on the backlines. However, the Dream Coil is going to be just about as good. Drow Ranger's doing so much damage to this team fight. Dragon Knight is not close enough, but now she's going to be turned on. 4 heroes dead on the side of Mafia 5, and nobody is dead just yet. Sunstrike lands onto the Shadow Shaman. Poor Shadow Shaman ends up dying. But the Invoker, the only survivor on the side of Mafia 5, and, well, that's just kind of a fact of life. As a support, those Sunstrikes are going to come through, and they are going to kill you. Just not anticipating where it would go, which is too bad for the for SS, but great for his team. All said and done, Los Bricarditos, this game has been very back and forth. The Citrix kills himself a melee Necro unit in the middle lane, and I don't know, Invoker still the winner as far as all of these teamfights are concerned. He's going to be building a Scythe device as the next item. He's going to need to get the Scythe as soon as the puck blinks in if he really wants this to be effective, because BKB is on the Dragon Knight, and Viper without a Blink Dagger on himself probably won't be able to get much going on. Viper also picks up his Viper Strike ultimate upgrade with the Aghanim Scepter. We'll be able to drop those gratuitously on the Invoker as well as the Drow Ranger, and going to be very annoying for the Drow to deal with. Positioning just so key on that hero, and also with the Assault Cuirass after that last fight picked up by the Dragon Knight, I think that Los Bricarditos are in a better shape to fight than Mafia 5, as long as the puck gets a decent initiation at the very least. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up. Roshan is more than likely going to be the next spot of a team fight. I think that's going to be the biggest next map objective. We do have a tier 2 tower, or tier 2 towers galore on the side of Mafia 5, and a lot of the gold advantage, if there still is one, on the side of Mafia 5. There is a slight one, about 5k, will be negated almost completely by those tier 2s if they're able to take it. The Shadow Shaman hasn't been able to push down those tier 2s, but still has put the Serpent Words to good use. They got a Roshan off it as well as the tier 1s, and he's been there with the extra disables, with the Hex as well as the Shackles in place. So still, I think a solid pick for them, although would be nice to see Los Bricarditos take a more aggressive move. They kind of just wait for Mafia 5 to jump into them, but their counter initiations coming out from the puck have been quite good. So it can't really fault it up until now. With the Assault Cuirass on the Dragon Knight, they're going to be doing quite a bit more damage in these team fights, especially considering that Serpent Words as well as the Viper deal a lot of physical damage. Drow continuing to split push up in the top lane. And with the Manta Style not popped just yet, she will be able to clear out these creep waves still, and I'd like to see her pop the Manta Style and then retreat after a couple more waves. Sunstrike in the Roshan pit, I believe, but they might be jumping in at just the right moment. Not sure if they got vision of that. No pings are coming out, but I think they know what's going on. And yeah, there you go. Drow Ranger pings it out, but it's just falling too quickly with the minus armor coming out from the Assault Cuirass as well as the Serpent Ward's Viper taking on it. They will definitely get vision of it with the Forge Spirits scouting it out, but in the end, it looks like Roshan's going to fall too low. Let's see if Mafia 5 are going to be able to mount a defense. I'm not sure they will. Arrow to Fly lands on Citrix. It's falling low. Will they be able to get this in time? Roshan falls. Who gets the Aegis? Dragon Knight picks it up, eats the Sunstrike for his trouble, pops the BKB as he walks out of the pit. Jump in from the Brewmaster. He gets the split off, but the puck's not able to get a good initiation. He's going to be stunned up and not going to be able to disjoint that boulder. BKB TP coming out from the Viper. They're going to cancel the TP on the Dragon Knight. Already used the BKB. He's going to lose the Aegis almost instantly. Now trapped between all of those summons and enemy heroes. He is going to be in a world of hurt as Link dies for a second time. So despite getting the Aegis, Los Brigarditos just found themselves caught out in a very awkward situation where the Viper was stunned up, the Brewmaster blinked in and canceled the puck blink dagger and wasn't able to get a good initiate. No buybacks on either of those heroes. It looks like this is going to be our first lane of racks in a very awkward turn of events. Coming out for Los Brigarditos, I thought they'd have a better chance in this game. Arrow to fly, not going to land on Scar the Mage or the Viper. Charlie Griggs is very aggressively positioned. He's probably going to have to pop the mechanism and he's going to be forced out away. He might be able to live. I don't know, stick charges. Ancient Seal just does work with that extra poison damage. Scar the Mage ulti down the middle lane onto the Invoker, but the Echo Slam initiation comes out from the Earthshaker with the Brewmaster also coming in with the Thunderclap. That's your melee barracks, and range barracks should follow suit fairly quickly, and they're just going to rotate up towards top. Alacrity on the Draw Ranger. They're just hitting these buildings too quickly in order to compete against that. And just look how fast Draw mows down that tier 3. And now the melee barracks is going to be next of all. That's 2 barracks. Well, blinking from the puck fight isn't able to do much except for kill the Invoker, but they need more than that. Blinking from the Brewmaster gets Yule Sceptered up, but they pop out the BKB from the Viper, and he can't get close to this Draw Ranger. She's just right-clicking down the barracks. This Earthshaker almost solos the puck, but he's going to slow down under a tier 4 towers, and it looks like Earthshaker is going to die for these melee barracks as well as ranged in bottom. I'd like to see them back out without committing fully to the range barracks. Arrow to fly nicely timed onto the Dragon Knight, but still a huge win for MafiaV, and I think that might just be checkmate, as there's just not a lot that Los Brigarditos can do up against these amount of creeps. And I don't know, Draw Ranger kind of functions similarly to the way of a Lycanthrope, which is the amount of damage that she can pump out on its towers, even being so underfarmed. Like, at this point in the game, having a Manta style and Helm of Dominator really just doesn't cut it. But apparently it does for getting those towers, and I'd look to see a Butterfly next. I think the right-click damage coming out from Los Brigarditos is definitely warranting of the extra mischance, and nobody's going to be building an MKB for quite some time. I'd like to see the Viper pick that up as his next item. I think the extra right-click damage would be wonderful for them. And, well, Dragon Knight nowhere near. Even having one component, at least Viper could pick himself up the Demon Edge. And against a Brewmaster, I think that's a pretty necessary item as well. You just see in those team fights that Drunken Haze coming out in the Viper is a little bit too strong for him to deal with. And, well, for these next couple of team fights, it's going to be scary. Brewmaster is going to have a refresher. Pretty much what they're going to be able to do this next team fight is they'll be able to jump in with the Brew, drop the ultimate once, completely zone everybody out from Los Brigarditos, pop it again, and then do the same thing while Draw Ranger just mows down the barracks, and then the tier 4s. Like, it's going to be easy peasy for MafiaV in order to accomplish their dream of winning this game 1 of the best of 2 series. And honestly, it's solidifying into a little bit more than a dream with 2 barracks down effectively. Puck gets a phase shift off. They're going to hex up the Brewmaster as well as silence him up. Here comes the Scar. The Mage ulti not landing on anything. They drop the Rune Coil onto 2, but it doesn't look like it's going to matter. Easter Shot comes out as well, and a nice Fisher catches out 4 heroes. BKB's galore on Citrix as well as on Link, but they're focused on the Shadow Shaman instead. He's going to fall before this fight begins. Now Dragon Tail goes the way of Charlie Griggs. Charlie Griggs is going to be focused down. They do have the True Sight for that to hit. Link's thrown up in the air by the Brewmaster. Doesn't want to deal with him. Throws a Boulder Toss away the Scarlet Mage, but there's not a lot of follow-up there in order to get that kill. And it looks like they're going to back off. Invoker actually died during that fight. Didn't see how that happened, but now the Brewmaster blinks into the enemy base. Thunderclap is down. The poor Scarlet Mage, and the Viper also dies. A very hectic engagement. He buys back, trying to punish this Brewmaster, but not going to have any of that as he just swaggers away in a drunken stupor. And they have the important heroes that they need to break high ground up against the Viper as well as Dragon Knight. Buyback in the puck. If they force that out, they might decide to back off, but still, I don't know, even losing Invoker there isn't the biggest of deals. I mean, it's definitely not a good thing. But I don't think it's going to bother them that much. And let's check out the buyback status. I believe that was 2. Just expend blinking from the Earthshaker. Gets the Fisher off onto the Viper as well as the Dragon Knight. But Brewmaster might have bit off more than he could chew. Doesn't have the Professor just yet. And one of the ultimate available for another 40 seconds. He's hexed up. Shackles will follow up onto System and System. He gets a couple of misses, but I don't think it's going to be enough with the Dragon Tail follow up as well. Now that should force them back. The silence comes up from Draw Ranger as well as Manta trying to run away as best she can. Slows down the Shadow Shaman. Blocks up the Dragon Knight as Charlie Griggs gets focused down. Nice Fisher lands on a lot of heroes, but in the end, MafiaV getting caught out after that fight. We do have a smoke coming up for the extra movement speed of the Earthshaker and the Draw Ranger, I believe, and a completed Butterfly, as predicted, onto Dawas Da As De Tuaf. Yeah, that's a terrible name. I have no idea what I'm going to call you next game. But either way, Dro is going to be well on our way to carrying this game for Mafia 5. And even though they kind of threw themselves at Los Bricarditos and lost a couple of kills, the buybacks have already been spent, and I don't think that Los Bricarditos have what it takes to consecutively defend against us. They lost the range barracks up and top to creeps alone while they committed all of the heroes down in bottom. And I think that's pretty much going to be, I don't know, it. Slowly but surely, I think that Mafia 5, unless we see some absolutely huge comebacks from Los Bricarditos, like consecutive 5-man team wipes, I think they need 2 in a row, Sean, in order to get on even footing. They still don't have these tier 2 towers down, so even if they barrel down one lane, they won't be able to convert that into 2 racks. And I think they need to take one of those 2 team wipes outside of their base in order to really convert that into anything. But yeah, it's not over for Los Bricarditos, but very, very, very low probability that they'll be able to come back from this. Hence why they're not GGing, but 1200 gold advantage for Mafia 5. The experience advantage is negligible, but just based on the heroes that Mafia 5 have at this moment, the items that they're going to be picking up with this gold are a lot more important, and the farm distribution is more favoring towards him as Invoker. Picks himself up a Ghost Scepter up against the Serpent Wards, Dragon Knight, as well as the Viper. Definitely a warranted pick, as long as the Scarlet Mage falls early on in the fight, which, as shown in the last couple of engagements, it has been the case. Just is so squishy. Strength gain, not the best on that Scarlet Mage hero. Oh, we have a jump in from the puck. He's going to Yule Scepter 1 in the air. They get the kill on the puck in return, however. I don't know, a very interesting engage coming out from this puck. Wasn't expecting that at all. And, well, I'm not sure what tower just fell. To be honest, actually it was the tier 4 tower inside the Dire base. Droninger is very aggressively positioning herself towards that tier 3, and it's almost down just from a couple of odd attacks. Arrow to fly. It's going to land on Skywrath Mage. He's pushed back, not going to land on Sunstrike, but the Echo Slam for good measure comes out from JXCVB. He's going to lose his life for that, jamming it in, but in the end, I don't think he's going to care all that much. Serpent Ward's down on the ground. I think he can back off, wait out the Serpent Wards, and then go for round 2. Droninger is stunned up, but they get the kill onto the majority of the heroes. Now they push back Link, and Link's just going to be focused down. 102 seconds in sidelines for Viper. Team wipe in the favor of Mafia 5, and GG called out by Link. No surprises there. Even if they didn't call it, it probably would have been only mere seconds before we saw the base being destroyed by Mafia 5. So in the end, Los Bricarditos put up a good fight, but Mafia 5 were able to take the game out long enough to the point where they were able to win a fight and then convert that into 1.5, effectively 2 lanes of racks. Well, that's going to be it for Game 1, but Game 2 coming up shortly. I don't think the wait will be very long at all, so thank you for watching. I've been GreatestV on HeflaTV too. You can follow the HeflaTV at HeflaTV at most of the social media sites, Facebook as well as Twitter. And if you follow us there, you can find out when games are going live, and you can just see what games we're casting. Also, if you find a game that you like and want to share it with friends, you can find the VODs on youtube.com/HeflaMoke. All of those links are under the stream. So thank you for watching. We'll back out for a little bit here as we go into Game 2. So thank you for watching. Stay tuned, and be back soon.